Rob Van Dam makes his AEW debut. Plus, we had a title change on the 200th episode of Dynamite, and the main event of AEW All In has been announced. Thank God. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Do the pose.
The pose?
The pose. That's the one. Rob Van Dam is all elite, at least for 2 nights.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, Jerry Lynn came out to face off with Jack Perry. As we know, Jack Perry and Jerry Lynn had a bit of a face-off last week. However, Lynn had some other ideas. He said his neck problems prevented him from squaring up to Perry, so he made a little phone call to an old friend from ECW, and then from here, Walk by Pantera hit, and Rob Van Dam made his AEW debut. Now, RVD entered the ring and Jack Perry left moments later. Didn't want anything to do with Jackalus Perry. Now, Rob Van Dam and Lynn posed for the crowd with RVD giving it the double thumbs. Perry attempted a run-in with a chair and almost had it kicked in the face, but Rob Van Dam did this nice little spinny kick, and then he was like, right, I'm off. I'm not having any of this. And then later on in the night, Van Dam challenged Jack Perry for the FTW title, and a match will take place next week.
Now, there was some speculation yesterday from people online about a Van Dam Jack Perry match. I think it was a few hours before Dynamite EE, the reports started coming out that Rob Van Dam was factored into future plans with Jack Perry, but many thought that it would be a match that would end up at All In.
Yeah.
And instead, it's happening next week.
It's happening next week.
And now Van Dam, it's happening next week.
Hey.
Van Dam is still part of the WrestleMania 40 package. So he's been mentioned in that, but obviously WrestleMania being in Philly.
In Philadelphia, of course,
Expect them to lean into the ECW lineage.
Yes,
and Van Dam is part of that, part of like a fan package where you a meet and greet type thing. So I don't think this is a long-term deal for Van Dam. He's here for a good time, not a long time. And I think that's where AEW, I like that AEW does that, where you can get these people who just pop in and pop out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Float in and out depending on storylines. Like, there's nothing that, like, this story perfectly fits Rob Van Dam.
He can still go as well.
And he can still go.
He can still go, so I'm really excited to see what he ends up doing next week. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing where the FTW title stuff goes, because it feels like it's actually being used a little bit more, especially within storyline. I'm wondering if it'll all culminate in Taz choking out Jack Perry somewhere down the line.
We were saying this upstairs.
Oh, really?
We reckon we might get Jack Perry and Hook at Wembley or at All Out, and the finish involves Taz choking out Jack Perry.
Katahajime.
Gonna choke you out, Lawler! He used to shout that on
He
car.
did.
Hey, Lawler! Get your sword! Oh, sorry, that's Danny DeVito in Hercules. I'm tired today. Not the only big moment from the 200th episode of Dynamite EE. We had a title change, Andrew.
We certainly did. Hikaru Shida is now a 2-time AEW Women's World Champion after she defeated Toni Storm last night on Dynamite. A competitive match concluded. It was really good, actually. I really enjoyed the match. Shida survived a Storm Zero. It got counted into a pin from Toni, but then she countered that again and got the 1, 2, 3. And she's a champion now.
Shida back on top. Her second reign as women's champion begins. Her first one was 372 days, so there's quite the bar to hit there. This wasn't, I don't think, what AEW saw being the future of the women's division. I think there was a lot of hopes that Jamie Hayter would be back in time for All In, and we could get that big pop for the Southampton lass.
Yep.
Doing it in London.
I think this is a great shout. I think, if I'm correct in thinking this, I might not be correct in thinking this, so please do correct me in the comments. I feel like Shida's run was pretty much all, if not some of it, or like a majority of it, was during the pandemic in the first place anyway.
It felt like the moment the crowds came back, Britt Baker beat her.
Yes.
There might have been a bit of overlap, but...
So I'm quite excited to see how, she does in front of the crowds and everything with the title, and I think this might lead to her versus Saraya at Wembley.
Oh!
Maybe if that's the way that they want to go with it, because we're in the UK. Saraya is from the UK.
I've heard that rumour.
There you go.
Norwich, born and bred.
Norwich, born and bred.
That'll be babyface pop for Saraya, surely. No. She's that hated that even the UK will boo her.
Yeah. I think so, at least, anyway.
Excellent. We're getting a slightly unusual gimmick match on Rampage tomorrow night, aren't we?
We are. I'm excited about this one. A parking lot fight is set for Rampage as the BCC's John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli face best friends Chucky T and Trent Beretta. It comes after Dynamite when Trent Beretta beat Moxley and Penta in a three-way. Really good match as well. Post-match, Castagnoli and Wheeler, you two were seen fighting with Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy in the crowd. Then when it cooled down, Taylor made the parking lot challenge. And I think this will be great because obviously we saw the best friends and Proud and Powerful have that wonderful parking lot match way long ago, I feel like. And I thought it was a spectacular match. And I can't wait to see these two teams in their parking lot once again.
Is this the moment where finally, as we were all expecting, Sue joins the Blackpool Combat Club?
No, we can't have that. We can't have that. That would be bad for wrestling as a whole.
It'd be bad for the world as a whole.
It would be.
Sue joins the BCC. What a night that would be. Speaking of encapsulating backstage brawls, on the Cultaholic podcast feed, on the most recent episode of the Cultaholic Classic Nitro review, we talked about the night that the Outsiders attacked the WCW locker room backstage. The night where they launched Rey Mysterio like a dart into the trailer. We talked all about that. It's our weekly breakdown of every episode of Monday Nitro, myself and Sam Driver. There's a brand new episode on the podcast feed, and if you're a Patreon, you can watch it later on today. Plus, it's SummerSlam this weekend.
The biggest party of the summer.
Biggest party of the summer, and Andrew Hodkinson and erstwhile colleagues.
Yes, Jack and Adam this time. Ross is off this week, so Adam is in there.
You were getting your 9 pitches on.
We certainly were. It was a lovely time. Jack pitched a wonderful battle royale, if you remember from the Royal Rumble, where he picked random Wikipedia pages to compete within the Royal Rumble. He's done that once again, but who's in it? You'll have to find out by watching the video.
And if you've watched it, and don't tell anybody who it is, because snitches get pitches. We'll end on the best. Oh, thank you.
I knew this was coming when I said to Owen, do you know what I said to Owen Mawson, the wonderful editor in this video? I was like, Tom is going to go off because we've got a match announced for All In finally.
They've announced a match for All In finally, Andrew.
They have. Adam Cole will challenge MJF for the AEW World title at All In, emanating from a record-setting Wembley Stadium on August 27th. Now, the match was made official on Dynamite after MJF offered his friend Adam Cole a title match. MJF poured his soul out to the crowd and then was like, me and you, Cole, we should have a match. But not just any match, it's gonna be for the big one, the big one. Cole signed the contract and the two embraced and celebrated.
Look at that embrace, right? And this is what everyone's talking about this morning. And you know what? I give a lot of grief to AEW and some of the things they do. I love some of the minutiae storytelling that we get from AEW as well. They do some things badly, they do some things great. I love Adam Cole,
Come on.
Go on. Yeah, you do it. You do it.
No, oh, no, Tom, wake up, please. I can't do this on my own. It's the backstab. That's what people are thinking that it alludes to, the backstab. We saw it happen in NXT. Adam Cole did that to Roddy Strong before he turned on Roddy Strong. And people are believing that this could happen again. We might get the double turn. Maybe it's not MJF that turns after all. It's Adam Cole that turns on MJF. There we go.
I still think it'll be MJF that attacks Adam Cole first.
Oh, I don't know. I think they might do a swervy.
Because MJF will have seen that.
That's a good point.
And go, all right.
It did feel like the camera focused on that in a way that makes you go, ooh.
They turned, so they made sure they got the best angle for it.
They did.
I love that.
It was great.
That's great. Big fan of that. I wonder whether we get the turn before the pay-per-view.
No.
Or does it happen during?
I think it happens during. Ooh. That would be quite nice to see, I think.
Thank you, AEW, for booking a match for your biggest show ever in Wembley in like a few days' time. Appreciate it. Now give us some more. It's a good start. It's a strong start. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Keys.
I love you. Bye.